Sometimes it can be tricky figuring out how to install a device driver. Now we're only going to look at Microsoft since this is a Microsoft Windows class. We will not look at the Mac OS or Linux options here. But let's talk about how these drivers are built, how they and what they look like, and the various options for how you might install them. First of all, you might find them in various formats. You might find an executable file, an exe file. You might also find them as zipped files. Let's see, does it mention that here? Well, it just says compressed file. You might have to uncompress it. Oh yeah, zip support. So you might find it as a zip, as an exe file, right? When you unzip the zip file, you might find an executable file. You may also find it as a series of INF and sys files. So you could find it in any of these. Every once in a while, you might even find it in the form of a BAT file. So BAT. These are all ways that you might find them. This is exe and IP. You might find it in any of these formats. Now, if it's an executable, or if you unzip it and find an executable, you'll simply double-click the exe file, and it should automatically go through the installation of these things. However, many devices also have what we call plug and play. Now, the idea of plug and play, let me show you where this exists or where these things exist. I'm going to go to the C drive and then to Windows, System 32, right here. And you're going to see something called the driver store. Well, first of all, notice that there's one called drivers and a folder called driver store. Driver store is a set of drivers that exist here that have not been deployed. They've never been used. No device has requested them through its plug and play system. So this file repository here holds, see all these folders? It holds all of these possible drivers. And you'll notice that there's an INF and a SYS. Now, what are these files? Well, the INF is actually just a plain text file that tells the system how to use, this is the actual driver, the SYS file, and this tells it how to install it. Let's go ahead and open this in editing format. You'll see this is just a plain text file with sections in it that tell this thing information about how to install it, where to put stuff, and things like that. So if a plug-in, in the case of a plug-and-play device, the plug-and-play device will look for a matching number. Remember these numbers up here, right? It'll look for a matching number, and then once it finds that matching number, it will open up the INF file, which will tell it how to install this SYS. It will then install this SYS file according to the information in the INF file. It will now install that into the drivers folder, and you can see here all the SYS, all the drivers that have been installed and are ready to go. Now, once in a while, you might run across a driver that only gives you INF and SYS files. In those cases, you can often just move the INF and the SYS files into this area here in System 32 drivers, and then you open up the device itself here in the device manager. Let's open the device, the device manager, and you'll see that there'll be a something here that indicates that it hasn't been installed correctly, right? And you would right click on that and go update driver, and then browse my computer for drivers, right? And then you would browse to C, Windows, System 32, wherever that is, System 32, and you'd click OK, and then it would find it and install it if the driver is a correct driver. So that often works if that's all you have is the INF and the SYS files. So that is typically how you would install these things. Now, be careful. Usually you want to read the documentation because some devices, such as, say, printers, often want you to plug in the device first and then install a driver. Others want you to install the driver first and then plug in the device. So you have to be careful to do it in the order that the device is expecting, and that's usually found in the device's manual. So that is kind of the long and short of the installation. There is the plug and play method, which is sort of automatic, and then the installation utility, which is in the operating system itself. In other words, that's what I just showed you in the device manager. And then there's often the disk or file provided either online or by some medium by the manufacturer itself.